Hey everybody, Drew here for Games here on YouTube.com, coming at you with another episode of the Games podcast, or what we try to pass off as one. Episode number 32. We're almost getting to my age here with this version of it. On today's episode, we'll be talking about games with gold for September, which are now live on Xbox Live, at the time of the recording of this. It's September 2nd, and they went live yesterday then. Also, we'll be talking about Gamescom Future Game Show, which was about a week or more ago now, right?
Yep.
And also, the one...
Yeah, it was last week, yes.
Yeah, and the one game that was interesting from it, my thoughts on Riders Republic, which I played the beta for, which we were supposed to film this yesterday, but somebody was tired.
Yeah, somebody.
Yeah. And also, my thoughts so far on the Xbox Series S, which, as you guys have seen, that I did the unboxing for, and for the 1 terabyte SSD external storage for it as well, which I did when I got that. So I'll be going over my thoughts and my experience of what little I've done with it so far of gaming, because most of the time was spent installing shit on it, which so often is the case with new consoles anymore. God forbid. I'll get more into when we talk about it. And PlayStation and Xbox offering refunds for Madden 22. We'll get into that. And finally, yesterday, Sony finally announced the PlayStation Plus Instant Game Collection for September of 2021. And the 3 games on offer there, and we'll get into that, and that will be the end of the episode. So with that being said, let me, you guys heard him earlier. You guys know he's here. Desert Nord joining me via Xbox Live as usual. Hey, bro.
Hey there.
Let me try turning you up just a little more.
Yep, make sure they can hear me.
Yeah, because I think the last episode you were a little low.
Yeah.
Not to be that reminds me of a joke from George Carlin. A Mexican high, a Canadian low, not to be confused with a Mexican high.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, what have you been up to lately other than ESO stuff?
Oh, yeah, just contemplating what I'll do next, but I'll see how it goes. I don't play that many games, but ones I do, I like to finish.
Yeah,
you know
I know.
Me.
Yes, I know. In my case, it's been mostly installing reverse compatible games or next gen games from Game Pass on the Xbox Series S, which is over here now, because I rearranged a little bit. Because as you guys see, I got my futon behind me there now, which means that the TV is back over where it used to be, off camera now. And I got the Series S hooked up over there, so I can enjoy next gen gaming from the comfort of something more comfortable to sit on for a long period of time, as far as I'm concerned. Kind of like sitting on the couch and playing games, which is the most ideal place. But yeah, I was installing games like Fallout 4 and Skyrim, and then afterwards reinstalling the mods from Bethesda.net on there, and then checking out to see how both of those games look. I haven't checked out Fallout 4 yet, but Skyrim doesn't look much different from the Xbox One X in my experience. Which means the superior place to play is still on my gaming laptop, which is where this is being filmed right now. And that's not just because of PC mods, it just looks quite a bit better on my 1080p laptop screen. Go figure.
Yeah.
But Also, Red Dead Redemption 2 is over 100 fucking gigabytes on next gen.
That's pretty rough.
Yeah. So, largely yesterday, that was all that was installing from midnight to like 6 o'clock in the evening to like 8 o'clock in the evening. For 8 hours it took. And that was...
Yeah, it's mostly because of your connection, though.
But that was just with it on standby. I didn't even have it on the entire time. And it took like literally all fucking day just to install that yesterday. Which was the last game, by the way.
Yep.
Because otherwise, I got Destiny 2 on there to play, which is the next gen version of that, because that's from the Game Pass version. And by the way, I found something out from Game Pass because I installed Elder Scrolls Online on there to play the next gen port of it. All expansions are included with downloading ESO from Game Pass.
Yep.
Which means I didn't have to buy the physical version of Blackwood then.
Well, I
whatever.
I mean, well, I don't have Blackwood, so
well, it was available on the Series S, so
yeah, it might be Series S people though.
Maybe, but I can play it on both current and next gen then, so, and the entire version of ESO. So.
Yeah. If you ever decide to.
Well, if I'm gonna play it again anytime soon, I'm gonna check it out on there, which means I'll probably be playing it with you from off of my next gen system because we can actually, I believe, play it together regardless of what gen we're playing it on. That's one of the selling points of the new generation with Xbox. They want people to play together. Who cares what box it's on?
Yeah, well, same server, so I'm not sure they'd even have a say in that regard.
Either way, speaking of Xbox and Xbox games with gold for September 2021. For Xbox One, we're getting Warhammer Chaos Bane from September 1st to the 30th. Your thoughts on Warhammer Chaos Bane?
Well, it definitely has a fan base.
I'm pretty sure that we're not a part of that.
Yeah, we're not. We have no experience whatsoever with that game.
Or with that series or franchise, if you will, with the Warhammer series. But also for Xbox One, we are getting Mulaka, whatever the fuck that is, September 16th to October 15th.
Yeah, I'm unfamiliar with that game at all. Also, I really don't know what to say about that game.
For the Xbox 360, we're getting Zone of the Enders HD Collection. I know of the game, not familiar with it though. Or with that series, because I've definitely heard of it.
Yeah, I have too. And I've seen gameplay of it too, but I've never played it.
And then also for the 360, by the way, Zone of the Enders HD Collection is from the 1st to the 15th of September. But also for the 360 is Samurai Showdown 2. Never heard of this before. But
certainly sounds fun.
We'll see, I guess. From the 16th to the 30th. So on paper, as far as I'm concerned, I don't intend to do a Games with Gold stream for September. Because there's nothing worth writing home about. The only thing that might be interesting in a morbid curiosity kind of way, because it sounds interesting, like you said, but I don't really know what it is, and that's Samurai Showdown 2. Because it's a sequel, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to play that, why not just play Ghost of Tsushima? It's the same thing, really. I mean,
You'd be better off.
yeah.
So, with that being said, your thoughts on Games with Gold for September before I get into my thoughts on it?
They've definitely done better before than this.
Yeah.
So it's probably a C at best.
I would say that this isn't the worst, but I would still give this a D just the same. Because
it's not all that attractive.
But when I say D, I mean like a D minus, like 1 percentage point away from an F plus. So it's just barely a passing grade. Only because all of the games are not only nothing that I'm familiar with. Obviously, I've never played any of them, which is a lot different from the thought of 4 games they're giving away, 4 games you have already physically or digitally. This is 4 games that I obviously don't have. So that's why it's a passing grade. Now, on the other hand, if they were to give us like Forza Horizon 3, which I own digitally, Halo Master Chief Collection, and then like 2 other 360 games that I already have physical copies of, I would probably give that a B. Only because, like, those 2 games, Forza Horizon 3 and Halo Master Chief Collection, are AAA titles. And they're first-party games. Off the top of my head, I do not know of a time that I think I've ever seen that Microsoft has given a first-party game away in Games with Gold. Now, I know they have, I just don't remember when it was or what it was. But they have at some point. But it's been so long that I don't even know what the fuck it was or when it happened.
Yeah.
I feel like it was at the dawn of the Xbox One. Now that I think about it, when they, I think, gave away the 360 version of Forza Horizon 2 in Games of Gold. Back when Games of Gold had just started.
Yep.
That was probably, off the top of my head, I think the last time they gave away a first-party game that I can recall. But if I'm wrong, please guys tell me in the comments down below that I'm wrong, and let me know what game was the last first-party game that Microsoft gave away to Xbox Live Gold members. But speaking of games, Gamescom Future Game Show was last week, which I think was day 2, right?
Yeah, the only day we talked about was day 1.
Yeah, and all day 3 was that I saw was IGN just sitting around talking about video games. No one gives a fuck.
Yeah, I couldn't dare to hang around for day 3 now.
Yeah, especially the only thing I saw was several channels just broadcasting IGN's fucking feed.
It sounds pretty stupid on its face. It's probably stupider if you watched it.
No, when I say broadcasting the feed, I don't mean sitting there reacting to it like reactors do on YouTube. I mean literally broadcasting the fucking feed, and that's it.
Yeah, it really... Day 3 was pointless.
So day 2 was Gamescom, and the only thing to write home about was Animal Royale. Yeah, a battle royale game, go figure, that I'm interested in it. Which is available for all platforms, that being PS4, PS5, Xbox Series X, S, Xbox Ones, PC, Switch, everything. So I have it installed on Xbox One and my Series S. And it is a free-to-play game, which means expect microtransactions, and rightly so, because it's a free-to-play game. Bro?
Yep. Yeah, you can definitely expect that in a free game.
Yeah, because, like I've said before, in a full price game, in a paid game, microtransactions, go fuck yourself. In a free-to-play game, they need to be there because the developers need to make something off of their game.
Yeah.
So, in this case, I don't say microtransactions as like the usual dirty word here. Okay? Just so that anyone watching this...
They're not always a greed thing.
No.
Sometimes it's just basic decency for the customer to be expected to come up with some kind of, recompense for the work done.
Now, in the case of Activision, Ubisoft, and EA, yeah, it is a greed fucking thing. Without question. In the case of like an indie studio, like the studio that made, it's called Super Animal Royale. They need to make some money back from this. So I encourage people to like check out the prices and see what they got for goodies to buy for the game. So Gamescom Future Show, other than that one game, which, by the way, they announced that it was out during that show. So, while I was watching it live, I was downloading it on Xbox One at that point, because I didn't have the Series S yet. But the show itself got a D because other than like that one thing, I woke up from my nap from the show. During that one thing, I'm like, what the hell is this cute, stupid fuck thing? Super Animal Royale? I don't give a shit. I'm not gonna waste $60 on this thing. What? It's free to play? Oh. Okay, I'll download and see what it's about then. And that's kind of how that announcement went for me. Because if it had been like even $5, I probably wouldn't have given a shit.
Yep.
And I'll talk more about it once I have the chance to play it with this guy. Assuming that he gets it off of ESO at any point in the near future to do anything else.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying my best here.
Well, and like I said, Super Animal Royale is a free-to-play game. Just download it, dude.
Yeah.
On the Xbox Live Store. But with that being said, something that I did play recently, the Riders Republic Open Beta, which happened about a week ago. So here are my thoughts on it. Based on the beta that I played, it's not worth $60. It's not even worth $40 as far as I'm concerned. At most, it's like $30. But from what I did play, it was really fun. So with that said, I'm going to throw it to you, bro, to ask some questions about it, and then we'll talk about it that way, I think. Does that sound good?
Well, I suppose if I can think of anything specific,
yeah.
I guess the first question I would have about it is, what do you think of the storyline?
The storyline is interesting from what I saw. There isn't much to it because it's mostly just go compete in all these races and try to make a name for yourself. Like your typical racing game narrative, kind of like in NASCAR or in Forza. It's your cookie cutter storyline for a racing game.
Interesting they would go with like an older style, because that's not something that a lot of the gaming developers are doing these days.
Which is borderline interesting at that point. But there is actually cutscenes when you get into the story side of things, which is actually interesting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I mean, they always have to throw in some sort of cinematics because people expect that.
Yeah, but unlike in NASCAR games where it's actually like cutscenes of real people or that kind of thing, this is actually characters animated in cutscenes, well, like in a typical video game. So it's actually kind of interesting. Now, like I said, if it's in Game Pass at launch, I'll play it at launch. Probably on the Series S at that point. But if it's not, and it's obviously going to be coming out for $60, I would wait for a sale for it. That's just my opinion.
So, with the story question out of the way, the other question that begs is, what do you think of the mechanics then?
The mechanics I like, they're smooth yet clunky.
Smooth yet clunky.
In that, when they're working, they really work smoothly. But when the controls are a little off, and that was mostly on the biking side of things, which I'm usually pretty good at. Now, I'm not going to say anything about the flying mechanics with the jetpack, because as you guys have seen on the channel, I suck at flying anything.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was all over the sky at one point, but then eventually I did get the hang of the flying mechanics, which was surprising to me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've seen that you've had flying trouble.
Yeah, but
other games.
Yeah, but I had less trouble with flying in this game because I didn't hit anything. So take that for what it's worth. Flying is easier in this game, seemingly, when you know which way to push the stick correctly. Because initially the controls were inverted from like how I'm normally used to. So like pushing up sent you down, type of thing. Instead.
So it's like inverted, yeah.
Yeah. And that threw me off for quite a bit, so I almost hit the ground a couple times because of it. But overall, the controls, they seemed really good to me. But like I said, other than the biking side of things, which I fell off the mountain at one point, and that's not something you're supposed to do, so you respawn back on the track and try to keep up with everybody else again. Obviously, because it was a race.
Uh-huh.
But I was a little disappointed that because of how many people there were in the race, it was like a Tour de France number of people. There was no collision like in the Tour de France, so I was disappointed in that. There was no collision mechanic.
That sucks.
In a way, yes, it does, but in a way, it's okay, I guess. Because if you don't care about immersion, it kind of sucks. Well, let me reword that. If you don't care about immersion, it's actually pretty good. If you care about immersion and getting fucked over, it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
In other words, if you care about giving and getting the treatment, and you know what I'm talking about, bro, it's not.
I do.
It's not a good thing. Some of you might not know what the treatment is. That's generally when Des Nord and I would ram each other into the corner going into the pit in racing games.
Yeah, right where you're trying to squeeze into an area, and there's this, like, separator.
Yeah.
And you'd get me shoved into the separator, and I'd essentially get front-ended by the separator pillar.
Yeah, that's what giving him the treatment is between Des Nord and myself.
We'd be going into the pit at 45 miles an hour, but despite the fact that everything was supposed to be normal, my front end would be completely destroyed.
So suffice to say,
the barrier.
So suffice to say, the equivalent of the treatment in Riders Republic is doing a Sonny Bono and running into a tree.
Yeah.
Which I did a few times. But overall, Riders Republic is not a bad game. It is worth downloading and playing for the right price, or if it ever goes into Game Pass, in my opinion. Anything else to add before we get to the next topic?
No, I don't have anything else to add.
So, I mentioned potentially playing it on Game Pass on the Series S. So, the next topic is my thoughts so far on the Xbox Series S as a console. So far, from what I've dabbled in playing, which was mostly the next gen version of Madden 21, on the Series S, it actually feels like, well, I don't want to say feels like, it looks like a next gen Madden from like a UI and a menu standpoint. Because the menus look more or less completely different from the Xbox One version. So it's like you're playing a new Madden, even though for me it's not. Because I have a physical copy of it for Xbox One right down here. So yeah. But beyond that, we will see how Red Dead Redemption 2 looks and plays on it. By the way, playing games. The load time is as quick as my gaming laptop because it's a solid state drive. So that's arguably the best part of the next gen systems. The load times are significantly reduced for all games because of the solid state drive that they have in there. Nord?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, you would expect the quality to be higher, so it's good that it is.
Now, in terms of graphics from the games that I've played so far, which was Madden, Skyrim, and I dabbled in a little Fallout 4, but not much yet on it. Graphically, it doesn't look much different, if at all, from the Xbox One X. But from a functional standpoint, they function way better on the Series S. There's less crashing, superior, quicker load times, and all of that. And even at times quicker download of mods too, for some reason. At times. But just as slow when it comes to installing games though. So that's solely on the internet connection at that point. But overall, so far, I'm willing to give a grade range on the Series S from anywhere from, at this point, a D to a B somewhere at this time. Now, I gotta play more stuff on it. Like, I gotta play the next gen games that I have installed on it, which is the Medium and Flight Simulator still. Once I get into those, then I'll be able to actually come back next week and tell you guys, actually, this is my official opinion on the weakest next gen console, which is the Series S. But overall, I'm enjoying what I'm doing with it so far. The one thing that I hate about it, though, the most, is that it literally lifts the exact UI you have on your Xbox One completely. Tiles, everything. And when you change something on one system, you see the change on the other one. That doesn't feel like next gen to me. That just feels more of the status quo.
Yeah.
So Microsoft is walking a dangerous path with that. They need a next-gen UI like Sony has with the PS5. The PS5 looks with the UI like a next-gen console. With the UI, the Series consoles just looks like more of the same. Now, like I said earlier, the games don't load like it's more of the same. The system just looks like more of the same, but it's not performing like it at times. So, give and take, catch-22 here.
Yep.
Speaking of catch-22s or a rock in a hard place, Madden 22 is now in the exact same boat that Cyberpunk was now. Reports are saying now that I've been getting, PlayStation and Xbox are now to be offering refunds for Madden 22. Because it's so broken.
Yep.
So, Madden 22. Now, if you remember, Cyberpunk came out in December of last year. Madden 22 is the Cyberpunk of 2021. Take it for what it's worth,
they
guys.
seem to have a real serious problem.
Yeah. Well, EA has had a problem with Madden brewing for like 15 years now.
No, I meant like you gotta wonder whether the developers have any heart in it anymore.
Well, I wouldn't, be considering what they want to do. They get shut down every time, seemingly.
Yeah.
And now, seems like Madden, to a small degree, will be getting shut down by way of refunds on Sony offering refunds again.
Yeah, I mean they can't possibly see benefit in doing something that ends up costing them more money than it's worth.
Remember when I said that Madden should go free to play?
Yeah.
Here we are, folks. Most broken Madden of all time.
Yeah.
I couldn't even finish my 10-hour trial because it kept crashing every time I tried to load or save anything. And that was just the trial of the game from my EA Play subscription by way of my Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription. So, the only way I touch this thing is if it's in Game Pass like tomorrow. And even then, I'm probably going to go, you know what, I'd rather just play Madden 21 at this point. Because at least that doesn't crash like Cyberpunk did at launch. But here's a fun fact. Cyberpunk is now playing better than Madden 22. So, go figure.
Yeah.
Madden is the new Cyberpunk. And Cyberpunk is now something. Speaking of something, or slight substance, let's say. PlayStation Plus's Instant Game Collection for September 2021. For PlayStation 4, they're giving subscribers Hitman 2.
Yeah.
Bro?
Yeah, Hitman 2 is a game that a lot of people love.
Yeah. Also for PS4, Predator Hunting Grounds, which was a recent release.
Yeah.
And for PS5 owners, Overcooked. So, fuck you, PS5 owners. Outside of the PS5 offering here, PlayStation Plus wins hands down in September. It's no fucking contest. Would you agree or disagree, Nord?
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Which means that, in theory, there's going to be two things to do on... what do I have written down for PS Plus days? I don't even remember anymore. Because I've been bouncing around all over the place. I think it's back on Wednesdays, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't have it written down here anywhere. It's just going to be whenever I have time then. So, a PlayStation whatever day it's going to be next week. So, Hitman 2 I'm going to try to do some of, and then the following week, I guess, Predator Hunting Grounds on PS4. So, well, obviously on PS4 because I have a PS5 because no one can fucking find one. But at least Sony is saying that they're going to be like making like 20 or 30 million of them coming up to sell in retail stores. We'll see if people are actually allowed to buy the fucking things, retailers.
Yeah.
Which is why I was surprised that I was even able to get a Series S in the first place. at this point. Because of how fucking awful it was to try to get your hands on a next-gen console in the first place to this point. So just getting a Series S was like hitting the fucking lottery at this point, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, you had mentioned how hard it was.
Yeah. Now, initially I was going to ask you your thoughts on should I get one? What would your answer have been? In the case of the Series S.
I have to say that you had done so much, like, agonizing about it.
Yeah.
I mean, it would have just been better psychologically.
Through, like, everything that's happened, yeah. But here's the thing. I wanted a second opinion, so you weren't available as you were in bed. So I reached out to CD, our resident socialist on the channel.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why I say that publicly at this point. Because, well, I'll get to it in a minute. But I reached out to him, and we were talking about it, and he was asking me the right questions. Am I comfortable and happy with my Xbox One X and my PS4? Yes, I am. Then he replied with, then you absolutely should not get the Xbox Series S then. So, when a socialist says to me that I shouldn't do something, guess what? I do the opposite. That's why I said our resident socialist. When a socialist tells a libertarian like me not to do something, guess what? I'm going to go do the opposite, dude. Sorry. But I'm not sorry.
Yeah, sorry, not sorry.
So, yeah. Ultimately, I got what I wanted out of CD. I got his opinion, and he did help me out quite a bit. He made me see, yeah, this... Am I comfortable with getting a Series S over an X? No. Is this the best that I can do? Absolutely, because of how the entire situation has been for next gen.
Yep.
Because, like I was saying to CD off camera at the time,
it's been hard to get one in any sense.
Absolutely.
Or at least in a fair sense, for sure.
But I will say this: the two things that I disdain about the Series S are one thing Microsoft can fix, and in the case of I have the system already, the other is not fixable at all. And I just have to accept it. The one thing that Microsoft can fix is the UI interface. The thing that is not fixable is the fact that there's no disk drive and there's never going to be. Which means that things that, in theory, I have that would be playable on a next-gen system, like Hitman 3, Immortals Phoenix Rising, and whatnot, and I mean like the next-gen versions of those, I can't actually play on my next-gen console because there's no disk drive, because I have the physical copies. Which means that if those games are in Game Pass, then I can play the next-gen versions like Madden 21. I can play the next-gen version of that because that's in Game Pass, because all EA games are, well, from their vault anyway. And in the case of Maneater, I can because that's in Game Pass. In the case of No Man's Sky, I can because that's in Game Pass. Same thing for Jedi Fallen Order, Squadrons. We Happy Few. The Witcher 3, The Wild Hunt, I can play that on my Series S because I own it physically and digitally. Because I wanted to throw money at CD Projekt Red back then. I am in no circumstances going to buy Cyberpunk 2077 digitally, or should I say rebuy it digitally for Xbox, unless it's like $5 or something. Then at that point it's only $5 and who cares? Or if it's finally the next gen version that was promised for like $5, then I'll absolutely do it at that point. But then there's Yakuza Like a Dragon 2, which has a next-gen port. Which actually is currently in Game Pass. I'll be playing the next-gen version of that because it's currently installed. So But one thing that I'm not going to be playing on there because I have a physical copy of it is Assassin's Creed Valhalla, because I don't want to buy that again for Xbox at this point.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to enjoy it on my Xbox One where it currently is. But with all of that being said, everybody, overall, like I was saying earlier, the Xbox Series S, if that's all you can find, and if you're fine with cutting yourself off from your physical game library, then the Series S is a great choice. But if you're like me and you almost feel like you have buyer's remorse, but you're not sure if you do or not, it's because you put more stock in physical media, just like I do. So, anything else to add?
I mean, it's hard not to put stock in physical media.
Yeah.
Because there's no good argument aside from some sort of argument about efficiency
and
with digital only.
And also with that, seemingly the mainstream is canceling shit left and right for things that they think are problematic, which actually aren't. So that's another reason to prefer physical media, because you're never going to find Spaceballs anywhere anymore. I have that on DVD, guys. Same thing goes for any Monty Python movie. I think I have most, if not all of them on DVD, outside of Flying Circus.
Yeah.
You're never going to find the Three Stooges anywhere, and I mean the real Three Stooges.
Yeah.
I have a DVD that was a Christmas present from years ago of a lot of Three Stooges shorts. So, like I said, physical media is the way to go.
Physical media is becoming harder and harder across the board to come by.
Yeah, because between cancellation and heavy reliance on digital media, case in point, before Tom McDonald, the last time that I bought a physical album from anywhere, I don't remember.
Yeah, I mean, with the danger involved is if some of these servers went down, a lot of what we might call our culture is gone and inaccessible.
Speaking of servers going down, recently WWE 2K19 servers had shut down, but you can still download content that other people make on it, and you can still play it. You just can't be playing it online with anybody anymore.
Yeah.
So it still functions, it still plays, you can still download shit, you can still use the internet with it, but you just can't play against anyone in any matches. Which, for me, is not a loss at all, because I barely did that anyway.
Yeah.
But keep in mind, my history is I prefer single-player games anyway. The only time that multiplayer actually means anything to me is when Desert Nord is involved. And maybe CD if like he and I are morbidly both curious at the same time about something. Like Fall Guys at the time. Which reminds me, I still want to play some more of that too. Even though it's just a time killer of a game at this point. So with that being said, I got nothing else. Do you have anything that you want to talk about?
Well, I mean, it's been a slow week.
Yeah.
I mean, all there really was Gamescom, and then a few other side stories. I mean, so I don't have a lot to say.
Yeah. We're still waiting on to see how much Skyrim Special Edition, Skyrim Anniversary Edition is going to be. everyone, and me included, are thinking that's going to be $60 because every edition of Skyrim has been $60 at launch. There's nothing to suggest otherwise, unless Microsoft says to Bethesda, "Hey, since you're releasing the same game just on a new system, how about selling it for this?" But here's the thing. I would be stunned if it does not launch day and date in a Game Pass, though. Right?
Yep.
So if that's the case, if it is $60 and it is in Game Pass, the $60 thing isn't going to mean that much on Xbox. And from my understanding, it sounds like Skyrim Anniversary Edition might be coming out for PlayStation too. So, because Skyrim is on everything, so all I know is this, that Bethesda likes to give the next edition of Skyrim away to PC players for free. Because if you have like the original port and Skyrim Special Edition, they'll probably give it away to Steam users. So I'll probably be playing that on Steam first and foremost. Just so I could play like with a better version of Skyrim and with better mods on PC. But at the same time, I'm also going to be trying to play it on the Series S just to compare it to the PC at that point. To see how on par with it my gaming laptop is. If it is indeed in Game Pass, that is. If not, then I'm just going to be playing it on PC, and that's just going to be the end of it. So either way, I'm going to be playing it just as long as Bethesda follows their trend of treating PC players that well.
Yep.
But other than that, any other thoughts on Skyrim Anniversary Edition?
Well, I think it's funny that he's selling another copy of Skyrim to everybody.
Yeah.
Todd Howard, I mean.
Yeah. And even though, like I've said on a previous video on this channel, Bethesda is as clueless as Vince McMahon. Well, not quite as clueless as Vince McMahon, but they're getting there.
Second only to.
Yeah. Well, a certain person in a certain house in a certain part of the country that is a complete and utter dipshit is
word to that guy
is more clueless than Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
Because at least Vince McMahon believes that he's doing the right thing. I don't even think that this guy believes jack shit because he don't know where he is. But I digress without actually saying what I'm talking about, hopefully. But if you guys know what I'm talking about, then I can't do anything about that.
We'll leave that joke inside for people.
Yeah, we'll leave that joke for the entertainment channel where we get into that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But with that being said, Bethesda being clueless, they said at E3 when they announced Fallout 76 and then teased Starfield, and they actually said, and after that is the game that you keep asking us about. So they hear us, but they're not listening.
Isn't it funny?
Because we keep asking about Elder Scrolls 6, and they go, okay, we're going to give you what you want. You're going to give us ES6? Here's Elder Scrolls 5 again. Fuck off.
Yep.
When we say we want an Elder Scrolls 6 game, Bethesda, we're not talking about Skyrim for the 700th fucking time. Because after Series S, what's left for you to port it on? My Christmas tree, my toaster, and my asshole. That's it. I'm pretty sure if I had a blender and a coffee maker, I'd be able to play Skyrim on that at this point. You could definitely play it on your Alexa. And your smart fridge. And your smartphone, I think, too. And for all I know, there might be a port coming tomorrow for the smart TVs. I don't know at this point. It wouldn't surprise me that they stealth release a smart TV port of Skyrim. But I digress. But either way,
Todd will keep thinking of new ways to sell Skyrim to more people.
Yeah, so with that said, I want to end on a positive note and not ranting here. Because we're at 50 minutes now. Because I want to end it here. So with that being said, going into the fall season now, because it's now September, what is your top anticipated game for the rest of this year that we know is coming out this year?
Well, that would have to be Halo Infinite.
That would be my number 2.
Oh, yeah?
Elden Ring.
Well, sure, I'd like that, but see, I don't trust that they're actually going to follow through on that.
Well, first of all, it's From Software, so I trust them.
Yeah.
And secondly, you know it's going to be so crushingly difficult anyway. So...
I know, they were talking about how difficult they intend to make the game.
Yeah. But it's... My expectation for it is 2 degrees short of living up to the hype that Skyrim had to for it. But as close to a Dark Souls-like Skyrim kind of game that we're probably ever going to see. Those are my expectations for it. So, like, a couple notches below the hype for Skyrim when that came out, but getting close to it type of, like, difficult Skyrim light type of game. Those are my expectations. Do I expect to be disappointed? To a degree, yes. But do I expect it to, like, turn out like Madden 22? Absolutely fucking not. Nothing could be worse than Madden 22 at this point. Madden 22.
I don't expect Elden Ring to be broken.
Yeah, I don't either, because, like I said, I trust From Software even more than I trust CD Projekt Red now. Which is sad, because going into this year, no one was more trusted in the gaming industry than CD Projekt Red. Now that's gone. Now it's the next company up. Now it's From Software, effectively. Unless you can think of another game development studio that has your respect enough that you don't expect them to release a bad game.
Well, I know once studios get a little too proud of themselves.
Who's that?
That's when they start making mistakes. I don't think there is one that I would assume won't make a mistake. Because I think they all do eventually.
Well, yeah, I know that all studios make mistakes eventually. CD Projekt Red was the poster child of doing things right, and look what happened. So obviously
that was like the ultimate test.
And they failed.
To see if
catastrophically
could come off of amazing success and still continue to be that without failing.
And not only did they failed so hard that even the investors in CD Projekt Red were suing them.
Yep.
When you fail so hard at releasing a game that the insiders in your own company are suing you, yeah.
Yeah, the only one that comes close right now is Rockstar.
Yeah, except for they're giving us, much like Bethesda, Grand Theft Auto 5 on next-gen console supposedly this year or next year. So we're probably gonna see Elder Scrolls 6. Yeah, we're probably gonna see Elder Scrolls 6 probably coming out at about the same time within the probably the same like 2-month period in the same year as Grand Theft Auto 6 at this point.
Yes, Elden Scrolls Skyrim. I've heard people make fun of it that way.
That would be the only way that game happens is if Bethesda and Microsoft team up with Rockstar and From Software, which I don't see happening.
Yeah.
Because I don't think 2K is going to go for that, because 2K owns Rockstar, as we all know. But with
they aren't going to go for that.
Yeah, but with that being...
I just thought it was funny when I heard that comment somebody made about Elden Ring.
Yeah. So to recap our top anticipated games, for me it's Elden Ring. For Nord, it's Halo Infinite. But in terms of Game Pass games that I know are Game Pass, it's Halo far and away.
Yep.
To the point where it's already installed on my Series S, just waiting for release at this point because you could pre-install it. So I'm not buying a physical copy of Halo Infinite. I'm not doing an unboxing. I'm just gonna be playing it on my secondary Twitch channel, and I might as well tell you guys that exists now. That's in all lower cases, DREWDATGAMESS. That's Judek Games with 2 S's at the end.
Yep.
And it's all one word. And that channel is connected only to the Series S for me to play next-gen games. And considering that channel, I don't have a connection to YouTube with it at this point. And I don't know how to do that at this point because I don't remember how I did it in the first place. With the main channel that's connected to the Xbox One. All of those streams are staying on Twitch, so you're going to have to watch them fairly quickly. So with that being said, I encourage you guys to go follow that channel to catch me playing at some point, hopefully in the near future, the Medium and Flight Simulator for your enjoyment, because you guys know I suck at flying.
Well, hopefully you'll get good, because that's a get good game, definitely.
Well, yeah, it actually has actual flight mechanics in it.
Uh-huh.
So for like actual pilots, which I am not. I know, surprise. As opposed to that meme on your channel where you had me saying I am a pilot.
Drunkenly.
Yeah. Which was actually fitting at that point, considering my fondness of beer. But anyway, with that being said,
just don't drink and fly, bro.
Well, as long as it's flying on an Xbox, it's fine then. As long as you're drinking and flying with an Xbox controller in your hand, that's one thing. Except for I don't need alcohol to fly like I've been drinking.
You just need to fly.
Yeah, I just need. First of all, I need a flight game that doesn't have you try to run through what the mechanics are of the ship and flying it while you're trying to fly it. That was my problem in Star Wars Squadrons. Both the Empire and the Rebellion have you go through flight checks while you're flying through space around other ships. That's the problem for me.
Yep.
I have to check my shields and my weapons and go, holy shit, there's a Corvega. Smash. And in the case of the X-Wing, I wound up scraping one vessel going, that was too close. Much like in much like in Return of the Jedi with Chewie in the cockpit with, it wasn't Han, but it was Lando Calrissian. Yeah.
Yep.
So with that being said, what are you going to be up to once we get done filming here?
Well, I'm playing ESO. So
I'm going to get back to looking at PC mods for Fallout 4 and seeing if there's anything interesting there, and then probably playing some of that on my PC till I wind up needing to make something to eat and then going to bed before work tomorrow. So, oh, a fun fact about tomorrow, which I probably should say this on the entertainment channel, but it is what it is, and it means a lot to me. Tom MacDonald is dropping 2 new albums tomorrow. So, so if you're from the Hangover gang like I am, go check out Tom MacDonald's website tomorrow and buy one or both of them, which I'm going to be looking into doing tomorrow. And tomorrow's payday, so. Which is, thank you, Tom, for dropping your albums on payday. I appreciate you and your music, man. With that being said, thank you for tuning in to whatever number episode this was, I forgot now, of the DDG podcast, or the Drew That Games podcast, if you will. For me and Desert Nord, thank you for checking this out. On your way out, hit the like, subscribe if you haven't, and like I said earlier, go check out my new Twitch channel of Drew That Games with 2 S's, all in lowercase. Go follow me there to see me playing next-gen games from my Xbox Series S. While you're on Twitch, subscribe to the main Twitch channel of Drew Dat Games, traditional spelling, the same as this channel where you're at right now, to catch me playing games from the Xbox One X. And also, from time to time, PlayStation games that I'd rather port over from Twitch and then play, instead of play live on YouTube because of YouTube's fucked up algorithm.
Yeah.
With that being said, have yourselves a great morning, night, or afternoon, wherever you are in your region. Craig Ferguson reference to close out the podcast. I'll see you guys.
Yeah, well,
hopefully
see you guys around.
Hopefully next week there will be something, but if not, you probably will be seeing me, if I have the energy, to do a Tom MacDonald reaction tomorrow on the entertainment channel. But we'll see what happens. Because like I said, I worked early today, I work tomorrow, and I work Saturday. So we'll see what happens during that time frame. If I have the energy, I'll do it. If not, I'll try to do it on Sunday when I don't work. So that being said, see you guys in the next at least couple days on the other channel. So later.
Yeah, guys.